Hello. So
Hi,
nice to see
Tracy.
you. Hi, Molly. Oh my gosh. Hi, Heather. Leanne, I see you're back. Ria, Sharon, Karen, Justina, Lisa. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I hope you guys, oh, there, now I got some faces to look at too. That's exciting. Yay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to have everyone here. Um, let's see where everyone's from because there's people here I've never seen before. So, hi, I'm Tracy. Welcome. Maybe type in the chat if you can. Just let me know where everyone's from. Yay. I feel like I should have a little bit of music going, but oh, I was like, no one's typing, but I was in the wrong spot. Oh, lovely. Indianapolis, Illinois. Hythe, Alberta? That's cool. Spent time in Alberta, I've never heard. Ottawa, Michigan. Oh my gosh, Santa Cruz, Vancouver, Lethbridge. My husband was born in Lethbridge, Grand Prairie, Calgary, a few blocks away from me. Yep, that makes sense too. All right, so we're going to get started here. I'm just so excited for everyone today. Um, yeah, gosh, this is such an exciting day. So you might want to mute your phones just so you don't get interrupted during this process today. We're going to be going through a few guided visualizations as I take you on this experience. And yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Let's get started. Everybody can see that? Yeah? No? Yes? Um, everyone can hear me okay? There we go. Let's open this up over here. Yes, excellent. Awesome. Wonderful. So welcome to a spiritual awakening to the highest frequency. I am Tracy Makarenko, and I'm going to be taking you on this journey today. It's going to be somewhere around 2 hours. I live in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island in Canada. I've been here for about 7 years. I live here with my husband. I have two daughters. They actually live on the mainland in Vancouver. Um, they moved out here probably 2012, 2017 when I was still back in Alberta. So that's what brought me to the island is I wanted to be closer to my kids. And so here we are. I have lived all over the place and I will talk about a bit of that today. So I have experience living as far north as Yellowknife in northern Canada and as far south as Brazil. A lot of places in between. Growing up, my father was in mining, so we moved around an awful lot too. So that really plays into the story that I'm going to talk about today with you. I've been in business for more than 25 years. I started my business in 2005. Um, it's not what I expected to do. I actually was in accounting and then ended up in this healing environment. Um, I didn't go looking for it, it found me. And that is part of the story I'll share with you today. So I've been doing all sorts of different work over the last 25 years, starting mostly with breath work and Reiki. I did reflexology for a while, a lot of one-on-one healing sessions. And then with the Reiki, I started teaching that and I love that. And then someone said to me one day, cranial sacral therapy. And I just went, oh, what is that? What is that? And it had to do with my hands and my hands on people. And I'd been doing that already, but cranial sacral just changed it. So my intuitive abilities really come through my hands. I feel things deeply with my hands. And so that type of healing just really changed things for me. And I added in visceral manipulation, which is working with the organs, neuromanipulation, which is working with the nerves. You know, our nervous system is always something that needs to be worked on. And brain work, which I love getting my hands on people's brains. But I really felt like I needed to offer more to my clients. So around 2014, I became a certified life coach and I started adding that in. And it was through the coaching program that I realized I wanted to do more of this. I wanted to do more programs to people that would really help them. The coaching program was more geared towards shamanic work, so past lives and soul essences. And so then, of course, I had to go take my shamanic medicine healing. And with that, I've started blending a lot of what I do, the healing, the coaching, and this deeper kind of metaphysical type of healing. And we're going to be going through some of that today. So I'm going to start where everything fell apart. So this is me when I was 33. I was lost. I was completely burnt out. I was overwhelmed. Even when I tap into her now, like my poor heart goes out to her. She was emotionally exhausted. She was longing to find her way back to self. I don't know if you can see it in my eyes at that point, but it looks like I'm just on the verge of crying. I was having just such a difficult time. My life was unraveling, and we had moved 5 times in 7 years across countries. So from Yellowknife to Edmonton, Alberta, to Washington State, to San Francisco, to Brazil. And then I was being moved all the way back to Yellowknife again. And the idea of going back to where I started did not sit well with me at all at age 33. A lot of memories started coming up about my high school years, and just emotionally, it was just really, really hard. And I knew something big was going to happen. I was very intuitive at the time, didn't have much control over it, but I knew something big was going to happen if we went back to Yellowknife. And I went dragging my heels. I was not excited to go at all, but I was really longing to find my way back to myself. Started asking those big questions, you know, what am I doing here? Is this what life's all about? Like, it has to be more than this. And I started getting some answers. So when we moved back to Yellowknife, started getting the answers through breath work and rebirthing. And then for about 4 years, I just did a lot of healing. And of course, that's when I shifted out of, you know, the accounting field, and then more into this healing capacity that I'm doing now. So today, what I'd like to do is share with you everything I've learned. And it doesn't just go back 25 years when I started, 26 years when I started my business. It's going to go back further than that. So what you're about to experience, I want to share with you frequency. I want to talk to you about low frequency, high frequency, how we make that journey up to ascension. And I mean, we're ascending every time we move up a frequency, but I want to talk to you about that. And I want to explain how it kind of, with examples of my life. And then I'm going to share guided visualizations with you as well today. So you'll begin with understanding ascension and frequency and how it shows up in your everyday life. I'll share parts of my story and how I moved through these levels. And then I'm going to guide you through these levels. So we're going to go from level 1 to 2 to 3. And these are the lower levels, and people get stuck in these lower levels. You're going to recognize them, I'm sure, if not in yourself and somebody else. There's a lot of flipping and flopping, more around level 3. We're going to go through level 4 and 5, where things really begin to open up, and you're just going to like step into those levels and go, oh my God, yes, this does feel magical. I love it here. I absolutely love it here. Because I'll tell you, when I experienced those levels, I didn't want to leave those levels. And that's why I do this work, so I can stay up at these higher levels. They're just so powerful. You won't just learn this, you are going to experience it. And I'll show you how to work with it in your own life. So today we begin this ascension together. So ascension is the process of raising your frequency and becoming more aligned with your true self. I don't know, maybe write in the chat if you guys remember the researcher, Dr. Emoto. I don't know if you remember him, but he's the one who did the experiment about frozen water. And I remember hearing about it in the 90s. He had 2 containers of water. He took one container and he put it in this loving, amazing room where people like prayed over it and said lovely words and just like filled it full of love and all of this wonderful stuff. And then there was another glass, and as the water was freezing, they said terrible, horrible things to it. Harsh words, yelling, abusive language, and it froze into this distorted, fragmented, discolored structure, unlike the other one that was loved and turned into a snowflake. So why am I sharing this with you? Because that is kind of our ascension. Those lower levels I'm talking about, level 1 and 2, is like that poor glass of frozen water that had been yelled at. And we're going to move up to those higher levels where there's so much love and you have clarity and you're moving out of that fear. So yes, I want to turn you into a beautiful snowflake today. So part of ascension is learning to respond instead of react. So it's about trusting that inner guidance, taking that pause, and living in a place of alignment that is truly you. You are going to journey through these 5 levels of conscious ascension, and I'm going to share my journey as we go through it, all of it, the good, the bad, the difficult, all of it. And you're going to feel your frequency rise as we go through it, but it is probably going to bring something else up. But just sit with it. If you're having a moment, I ask you to just breathe into it, because know that we are in this together as a container, and we are going to move up out of wherever you're at. I'd also ask you to please give yourself the gift of staying to the end, so you can experience all these levels of consciousness and you understand exactly where I'm taking you on this journey. So before we get started today, I want to find out where you're at. You know, are you having a great day because you're here? Are you having a hard day? Like, let's just be honest. Write it in the chat if you don't mind. Maybe you're tired, you didn't get a good night's sleep, or maybe you're stressed because something's going on with your kids or with work. Yeah, how's everyone doing today? How are you feeling? Maybe you have a trip coming up and you have like 1,000,001 things to do. Yeah, excited. Thank you. I'm excited too. I'm having such a great time. A bit overwhelmed, lots of things on my plate. Yeah, I'm there too. Today's a mentally exhausting day. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, pulled in multiple directions. Lots of different things. Yeah. Yeah, slept badly. Yeah. So we're going to go on this journey, and we're going to get you up to those higher frequencies and see how things change even from how you're feeling right now. So, as I said, this is the moment everything changed. I was 33 years old. What I didn't share earlier is my intuition was also on overdrive. So I was having loads of premonitions. So I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, I don't know what my purpose is. And I also have my dead grandmother talking to me in my head. So there was a lot going on a lot of different levels. I was also seeing like lights flying around. My mother and my sister actually do talk to dead people, and I did not want that. So there was a lot of stress around, oh my God, is that what's going to start happening to me too? I don't want that. Um, but then I ended up with this book. There's a spiritual solution to every problem by Wayne Dyer. And I don't know if any of you have read this book. Um, but wow, it helped me ground into kind of everything that was going on. So instead of focusing on all, and I'll just call it insanity, all the insanity that was going on in my life, I started reading this book and really started paying attention to what Wayne Dyer was saying in it. So first, he started talking about law of attraction. I mean, this was 2002. I'd never heard of the law of attraction. We didn't have all, the movies. I think The Secret came out in 2006. So this was before even that. So, I mean, now I know the law of attraction is playing out constantly. But at that time, it just was such a new idea for me. He talked about words and how they affect our lives in a positive and a negative way. And that, I mean, I had kind of been playing a little bit with conversations. Um, so that was kind of interesting to me too. And, just paying attention to those positive and negatives and how it made me feel. It's like, oh yeah, I feel great, or I'm in a mood and I'm vacuuming, and all of a sudden I knock something over and it breaks, and you're like, okay, I connect those dots. I understand what's going on with this vibration. So when it rose, more positive things happened in my life. And then when my frequency lowered and I was a bit cranky or came out of the bed on the wrong side, more negative things seemed to happen to me during the day. So again, that was 2002, and I was just like blown away. I just could not believe what was going on. But what this book did is it made me question everything, absolutely everything. And I mean, you've heard how many classes I've taken, so I'm a person who likes answers. I like checking things out. So now, I mean, I'm seeing things everywhere now. I'm seeing friends that are negative and oh my God, that's why their life looks like that. And friends that are in a good mood and oh, that's why their life looks like that. No, I'm starting to see everything. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I'm going to back up a little bit here for you and we'll get back to this. So I grew up in the 70s. I had a pretty typical upbringing for the 70s. I think it was typical when I talked to people. We were all very self-sufficient. Our parents didn't seem to be around a whole lot. Um, Pretty much raised ourselves to some degree. I also raised my sister because my mom went to work when I was probably around 8 years old. We lived near my grandmother, which was helpful, but she worked as well. So she was mostly in my care. My dad worked away as well, mining industry. So he was only home a few months out of the year. So there was very little accountability for anything. I mean, I think we got away with so much. It was just absolutely ridiculous what we got away with back then, because there was really no accountability. But what this did do is it led to a lot of abandonment issues for me later in my life. Um, yeah. Now, my kids, are very interested in this era because there were no cell phones there. I didn't even really watch television because where we lived, we didn't have cable. So we were just out free all the time. And so, I thought free range, they're talking about free range growing up. That's how I grew up. But it was more around parentification and adultification. There was just plain old neglect, and we were just left alone on our own. And so um, I feel that this really did influence my growing up. There weren't people around to share how you felt with. Um, if you were in trouble at school, I never felt like I had anyone I could share this with. So as I got older, all these emotions and stories brought up a lot of resentment and regret and shame and guilt and sadness and inadequacy, frustration, and a lot of anger. And I didn't realize it then, but this whole thing was shaping my life. And I mean, when you get out the other side, it all happened for a reason. But when you're going through it, you're going through it. And that's part of life, is you're going through it. And we're get into more of that as we move on today. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. So I did kindergarten in one city. I moved in grade 1 through grade 4 in another city. I moved and did grade 5 through grade 10 in another city. And then I moved to Yellowknife in grade 11, in grade 12, and I was there till I was 25. So I'm going to skip ahead to those Yellowknife years. I mean, the life I was growing up in was the life I knew. My parents were kind of on and off a lot. And by the time we got to Yellowknife, we were all living together in the same house. Now, I'd never lived full time in a house with my dad. I don't think ever. And so when he would come home, I'd, be good. And then when he'd leave, I'd just be my normal self. So just navigating what was going on at home was really difficult. Parents weren't really checking in on me. High school was getting a little bit overwhelming. I was trying to fit in because it was my last 2 years of school. And, I probably was making bad choices, but I was a teenager. Most of us were making bad choices. I had a boyfriend in high school. I was so in love. I thought we would get married. And of course, broke up. He ghosted me, as they say these days. It was really, really heartbreaking. And I just started partying. I started partying a lot. And then I'd spend time in my room crying, trying to deal with all this. My grades started suffering. And things got much worse in April. I was drugged and sexually assaulted. The event was very confusing to me because, of course, the drugs didn't help. So I didn't exactly know what happened, but I knew it wasn't good. I knew that I had been raped. But the lies that got spread in school around that incident became very devastating to me. And I never could understand why someone didn't ask me what the truth of the situation was. So coming on the end of grade 12, and during that summer, I decided I was going to move away. I moved to Winnipeg to go away to school. I actually moved in with a boyfriend from when I was in grade 9 and grade 10. So I made one choice after another, and not good choices, only if I would have understood at that time that my frequency was dropping and the one trauma after another trauma was making me make the wrong decisions. I was not living in alignment. I was living in survival mode. So I didn't know this. And what I didn't know is the boy that I moved in with was putting himself through school dealing drugs and hanging out with pimps and hookers. So I took myself from a really bad situation and put myself in even a worse situation. I became very, very overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel I had anyone to talk to. The problems got worse and worse and worse. Um, what I wish I would have realized that when someone treats you nasty or poorly, that it's not about you. So if anyone is treating you poorly right now or badly or saying things that you feel in your heart is not true, no, it's not about you. It's about them. It's all about them. So I couldn't see a way out of this situation. I stayed in it for probably 3 more years. Um, it got to such a point that I actually did consider suicide. And it wasn't so much that I wanted to kill myself. I just wanted everyone else to feel the pain that I was feeling. I had so much pain. This boyfriend, if you haven't figured out already, was definitely a narcissist. Anyone know a narcissist? So as soon as, you're ready to leave the situation, he was just pulling me right back in. And so it took a while for me to figure out what I wanted to do because I was in such a low point in my life. I could not see the light of day whatsoever. So, what I'd like to do right now is take you through this level 1. So, I'd like you to close your eyes, take a big breath in, and take a breathe out. And I want you to imagine that you live in a lower, heavier frequency. This reality is characterized with fear and darkness. The people who live in this reality live a life that's full of despair and physical pain. There's so much desperation and illness and sadness and betrayal and absolute loneliness. There may be financial desperation or feelings of financial scarcity. And many people in this reality feel a lot of apprehension or anxiety in their lives, even about really small decisions like what's for supper. They may feel lost or hopeless. It may be helpful to remember if you've ever lived in this reality. And if so, remember how that felt and what you experienced. So go ahead and connect fully with this energy. Go ahead and imagine what it's like to live in this reality of heartbreak and turmoil that people living in this reality experience. Like, how easy would it be for you to carry out your goals? Do you even have goals in this reality? What's your health like? How does your body feel in this frequency? What are your finances like? Do you have a community at all? Now, perhaps you don't live here anymore or never have. Maybe you bounce back and forth and here into this area. But you may know people who do live here. My question to you today is, do you want to live in this frequency today or any day in your future? Shake your head, yes or no? No, no. You open your eyes. How many of you are familiar with this darker energy? Can you write in the chat? Anybody? Yeah, yeah. I think most people have been in this place, haven't we? Yeah. Yep. Yep. So this is just the beginning. It's going to get better. I promise you. Promise you. If it's bringing up anything, and you have your journal, by all means, write things out. But for me, I always wondered if it was chaos or karma. I mean, we always talk about karma. Oh, they got it. And I thought, I'm a nice person. Is this what I deserve? Is this really what I like is going to make up my life? But the thing is with karma, that energy can be cleared. It can be released. Where chaos is in a completely different category of its own. Chaos is what keeps us from living our larger life. It's what keeps us stuck in the familiar. It is probably in cahoots with ego. It just likes to keep us exactly where we are and doesn't allow us to grow. You know, we blame people for stuff going on in our life. We don't take accountability for what's going on in our life. We see all our problems as somebody else's problems. Now, in the work I do, I don't see a lot of people coming in at this stage because something big has to happen. Someone has to help them out of it. There has to be a moment of clarity, or maybe a something happens and there's a near life issue that takes place. But what I will tell you is I see people at the higher levels and their trauma is still sitting at this level. And that's what we work on, is getting rid of the trauma at this level so that the frequency can rise up and you don't have to sit in those lower levels. It's not dragging you back there every minute or every day or every once a year to remember whatever is going on down there. So it was spring. I was waiting on a bench for the bus and the sun was shining. And so I just closed my eyes and put my head towards the sun, and I could smell the flowers and I could hear the birds. And I had just a brief moment of peace. And it was the first time I'd felt peaceful in a long time. And it gave me hope. It gave me so much hope. And in that moment of hope, I recognized something. I recognized, and I write about this in my book, and it was about the boy I was living with. How could he treat someone so badly he claimed to love? I could not understand that. Why would you treat someone you love so badly? But the answer could only be that he didn't love me. And then I moved on from that. And it's like, well, if that was the answer, then why treat me badly at all? That didn't make sense. Well, then it came to me. He treated me badly because I allowed him to. I put up with it for years. Time after time, his sweet talking nature lured me back in. I was the reason this was happening. And that conscious thought changed my life. It pulled me out of this dark place, and I could see just glimmers of light starting to happen. He knew he could keep me small and could control me if he kept saying the things he said to me and kept doing the things he'd do to me. I think we've all been in that situation at some point to some degree. And getting out of it is not necessarily easy, but it moved me into at least survival mode. I was now surviving more than I had been in the previous moment. And shaking off some of the chaos was really important, because that was really starting to lift some of the depression that I was feeling at that time up and out of my life. So we are now at level 2. I'd like you to close your eyes. Big breath in, big breath out. Now is still significant disappointment, worry, doubt, and chaos here. Occasionally there's a glimmer of hope, but still a very challenging place to live from. There's a lack of abundance and a fear or dread of the future. There may be discomfort and quite a bit of insecurity. There is not a lot of joy or happiness, and for many, this is a scary place to be. Connect to this energy. What would it be like to live in this place with doubt and disappointment and challenges? Can you relate to this? Now, it might be helpful to remember if you have ever lived in this frequency, and if so, remember how that felt and what you experienced. So I ask you to go ahead and connect to this reality. Feel that energy in your body fully. Feel the frustration and longing for things to get better, but not having a vision of how to make that happen. Really connect with what it would be like to live in that place. What would it be like if this was all you knew and you thought you had to continue living like this throughout your entire future? How would that feel to believe that your future would be like this? Would it be easy to carry out your goals? So I'm going to ask you to make a choice. Do you want to live at this level and this energy at any point in the rest of your life? No, no. Okay, you can open your eyes. Write in the chat for me. Have you ever lived there? Do you feel like you're still living there at all? Chaos and abandonment, yes. Yeah. Rejection, yeah. There's a lot of emotions that come up in that level too. Yeah, still there. Yeah, that's hard. We're going to move out of that though. So I spent a couple of years in this level too, praying and hoping for things to change. I isolated myself from him and my family as much as I could because I knew I needed to heal. It was hard to isolate myself from him even when I moved out and got my own place. Um, my family was around, but you know how sometimes you just put on that face for people to make them think everything's great? I kind of did a lot of that. I was living under constant stress, but at least it was starting to leave a little bit. Um, I was starting to relax a little bit more. I I was overwhelmed. I ended up with irritable bowel syndrome, so I was having problems eating at that time. So that probably is what triggered more of my self-care. I started paying attention to what I needed on at least the physical level. And that gave me also something to concentrate on. But shifting out of this level took me a while. It took me a while. And I woke up one day and I just went, enough. I can't do this anymore. I need to figure out how to get out of here. And that really is when survival mode kicked in. I like when clients come in at this level, I love it because they are ready for that change. They want things to change. They're like, just help me out of this, please, please, please. And so, I mean, I love all my clients at all levels. This one is exceptional because you really do see that shift so much as people move up to this next level. So I didn't know anything about frequency back then, but I knew I needed to change my environment. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to make everyone happy. And so, I mean, if you're a people pleaser, throw in the chat. I don't do people pleasing. Let's clear that right now. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I also didn't want to embarrass myself by sharing what was going on in my life. It was just like, it was too much. So you cannot solve a problem in the same frequency in which it was created. You cannot solve a problem in the same frequency in which it was created. Something has to change. So I started plotting my exit. I was in my last year of college. I was supposed to transfer over to the university in the fall. I kept telling people that's what I was doing. But I had already decided I was moving back home to Yellowknife. I was going to move in with my friends. I was going to get it, or with my parents, sorry, move in with my parents. I was going to get a job. And I just kept telling everyone I'd see them in the fall. I'd see them in the fall. Even the boyfriend who had made his way back into my life, I just told him that because I figured once I got on that plane, I didn't have to see him again. So I did that. I moved home and I did get a good job, thankfully, because I mean, he was spending my money. And when I got depressed, I was I was a shopper. I don't know if any of you on the call here did the same thing, but I did have a hefty credit card balance. And so I reconnected with my old friends. And you know what? All that stuff I was worried about that I ran away from, nobody was talking about it. Nobody cared. Everyone was dealing with their own stuff. Like it had happened so long ago. And so it was like a completely new beginning for me. You know, it's time for a change. Of course, I started dating a guy. He was at the same frequency as the other one. I laugh about it now, but honestly, it's like, can I not attract something different? But that relationship lasted, I think, 3 months. It did not last like near on 6 years. So that was good. And then I met a really, really, really sweet man. And I thought, oh, this is what an adult relationship is like. I like this. He took care of me. He took me out. He did stuff for me. But it wasn't true love. We did get engaged, but we broke off the engagement because, you know, what I really wanted was I wanted my guy. I wanted my guy. And so I got tired of talking, complaining about what I didn't want. And I made a list of what I did want. And I didn't want a boyfriend anymore. I wanted a husband. That's what I wanted, was a husband. And so I had quit smoking and I was writing millions of lists, but this is the one that I remember specifically. So I wanted him to be close to 6 feet tall so I could wear heels. I'm only like 5'3", but all the guys I'd been dating were super short. I wanted him to have a university education so we could have these like intellectual conversations. I wanted him to be employed and self-driven because I wanted him to, you know, be a part of a package, not just me paying bills. I wanted to have, you know, I wanted to have us being partners, you know, and if he had his own vehicle, that meant he had money. And if he had his own place, then I knew he could budget his money. So there were certain things on that list that I look at now and I'm like, huh, you know, but I also wanted someone who was social and enjoyed dancing and going out. So I was looking for this guy who was like tall, dark, handsome. I'll just leave that other bit out for you to read. But anyways, I did. I met him. When I was 22, I met my husband, Mike. We got married 2 years later. He's a mining engineer and his career was really taking off. Within a week of getting married, we actually moved from Yellowknife to Edmonton. He got a transfer. And then, of course, we moved again and again and again. But my life was pretty good. Like I was pretty darn happy at this point in time in my life. I had loads and loads of friends, didn't matter where I lived. We seemed to have lots of people around. And I was enjoying my life. But maybe it's just me, but I wanted more. I didn't know what the more was, but I wanted more. So I'm going to take you now on this journey through the 3D existence. We've moved up out of level 1 and 2. We're moving into 3. I'd like you to close your eyes. So this reality is much better than the last, but there is still a feeling of unsettledness. You do not feel desperate or as if you're in survival mode, but life is still a mixed bag of optimism and discouragement. People who live in this reality have moments of happiness and occasionally even periods of joy, but they're always overshadowed by a frequent sense of doubt that it's all going to end soon, or concerns that the other shoe is going to drop. There is a tendency to attempt to control others and oneself instead of allowing oneself and others to simply be however they want to be. There are feelings of pleasure and connection, but they frequently get interrupted by stress or pressure, and feelings of being overwhelmed about how to handle life, or worried about relationships or finances or their career. People living in this reality know a better life is possible, but they don't know how to get it. And they believe other people can have great lives, it's just not for them. Life here is not filled with physical pain or horrible disease, but there are still some concerns about health and uncertainty about the way to best take care of one's health. Finances are more stabilized than the previous 1 and 2, but people living here still feel stressed about money or career that prevent them from fully enjoying any prosperity they do have. There's fun in this reality, but people believe they have to work hard to enjoy life. The energy of knowing happiness is there. You get to experience it sometimes, but it doesn't last, and it could go away at any moment. For a lot of people, they think this is as good as it's going to get. They don't even know that there's more available to them, or they don't believe they deserve it. So now I invite you to connect with this energy. What are you noticing? How does it feel to be in this energy? Is it familiar to you? So I'm going to ask you, remember we have 2 more levels we're moving up through. Do you want to live in this reality at any point in the rest of your life? Yes or no? No. Okay. Open your eyes. Write your answer in the chat. Do you recognize this? Hey, no. Yes, star. So the majority of people, I feel, live here. Yeah. They try to control everything around them. They relive those video clips in their mind about conversations they had yesterday, last month, last year. They keep themselves in this closed cycle. You know, it's like, oh, I saved enough money, but of course the car broke down. Knew that would happen. Yeah, I think we've all said something along that line. There's a lot of flipping and flopping, because one moment you're like, yes, it's going to happen. And the next you're like, yeah, look what just happened. But we're going to shift out of this existence. We're going to shift out of this 3D existence. So what I'd like to do right now is we're going to take just a little break. If you can, I'd like you to just stand up. Let's move your chair away if you can, or whatever. Just make a little bit of space. And we're just going to shake it off. We're going to shake off. Start with your wrists and your hands, your arms, your bracelets jingling away here. Maybe your shoulders, start moving your shoulders around. It could be fast, it could be slow, however you're feeling. Maybe put a little bounce in your knees, just shaking it off. Maybe close your eyes if that feels good. Just letting it all go. Adding your neck and your head in, just letting it all go. And say with me, anything that's not mine, anything I've picked up, I shake it all off. Yes. Anything that's not mine, anything I've picked up, I shake it off. Shake off the old timeline. Shake off the old stories. Shake off anything that isn't aligned with you and who you are becoming. Yes, take another deep breath in. Standing still, breathing in. Ah, let it go. Yeah. All right. Let's get back at it. Everyone feeling better? Did that lift some of that heaviness in your chest, Leanne? Yes. Good. Glad. Oh, move this back down. There we go. Get me back in the frame again. All right. So we're shifting out of this 3D energy. So it was at this point in time that some of these ideas came into my mind. So today is another chance to start again. Let go of yesterday and ready yourself for the magic. You don't have to hang on to yesterday. Yesterday was yesterday for a reason. What if being kind to yourself could truly change everything? Now, this one kind of messed with my head for a while because it's like, well, what? Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Huge. All right. Learn to say no without explaining yourself. Now, I didn't learn this one for years, but I threw it in here because it's really important. Took me a long time to figure out how to say no. I'm very good at it now. If you don't speak up about your feelings and needs, who will? Now, I didn't grow up speaking about my feelings and needs. I don't know about you, but I'll share this one story. I remember probably being maybe 10, and I love blueberry pie, and there was one piece left, and it was after supper, and I wanted the piece, but you always have to ask everyone else first. So I did. I said, anybody want this blue piece of blueberry pie? And people are supposed to say no. That's the way this is supposed to work. But my uncle, I think, was trying to teach me something. And so he's like, yes, thanks for asking. And you took the whole thing. He didn't even give me half of that pie. And so I remember like this bothering me for years and years and years. Then I get married and I'm like, why does my husband not know what I need and want? It's like, well, because you're still not telling anyone what you need and want, Tracy. So yes, if you don't speak up about your feelings and your needs, who will? It's about you. Do it. And once you understand the blessings and the lessons within a painful situation, you never have to repeat it again. I mean, there's layers of it. We have to sort through this on a physical level, our traumas, it has to come out of the physical body. We have to deal with it on an emotional level. I mean, the mental level is usually pretty good. We can talk ourselves in and out of stuff without too much of a problem. But I mean, there's the physical, there's the mental, there's emotional, and then there's that spiritual level where you kind of go, oh, I get it. Right? It's a process. It really is a process. So what ended up happening next for me is we moved. I had said multiple times, and we ended up in Brazil. And we were on an expat assignment. And I'll pull up these pictures for you guys. We were on an expat assignment. So our house was paid for, even though our children at the time were 3 and 5. They were in paid public or private schooling. I had a housekeeper 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. They gave me a nanny every morning when the kids were home. So she'd come at 9 and stay till noon. The kids went to school at 1. When we moved to the States, I didn't have a green card. So I hadn't worked in probably 30 years at this point. I was used to having space in my house to myself. And now I had all these people in it. And I mean, I'd moved a lot and I was like a chameleon. I would adjust and change my personality so that I could fit in, wanted to be part of the crowd. But in Brazil, I didn't know what the crowd was. Like, I had no idea how to fit in there. I was trying to even learn to speak the language, and half the time people were laughing at me, or I was walking around doing some type of, charades to figure out what I needed. But I didn't have a lot to do, is what I'm trying to share with you. And it was the first time in my life I'd actually had time on my hands. I had someone cleaning my house, taking care of my kids. And it was like, well, like, what am I supposed to do? What do these people do when they don't have all this stuff to do? It occurred to me that I really didn't need a nanny. So I ended up getting rid of the nanny. I wanted to spend time with my children. Um, and my housekeeper was happy to watch the kids if I needed to run out and have, tea with somebody, or I wanted to go on a bike ride. Um, so there was space and time for me, and I was able to lean into a lot of interests. I was doing scrapbooking, I was doing photography, I was out riding my bike, I was reading again. I think I bought every single English book in like a 500-mile radius from me that I could get my hands on. It was great. But the other thing that happened when I slowed down is all that chatter disappeared. And I was now hearing, this is where it happened. I started hearing my grand's voice in my head. I started seeing things flying around. And so I started trying to figure out how to meditate so I could quiet things down. And so this was really the beginning of that opening for me, where I put myself first. I know I talked about doing it years ago, but then we get lost in life, and then it circles around again. It's not something we get to keep forever. It'd be lovely. We do get smarter and we keep adding it in. But someone said something to me, make sure it's self-care, Tracy. It's not parenting. Eating healthy food, that's parenting yourself. That's not self-care. So make sure you know the difference between the two. So anyways, I was slowing down, but things were starting to fall apart for me. So my whole life had really been built on sand. I did not have a solid foundation. I talked about my childhood. I've talked about, all those different years. And I love this card, this tarot card, the Tower, because I mean, at the time I did not like this card whatsoever, but it shows you, we need to reassess our life and our belief system. Because if we don't, you end up having a complete breakdown. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had a complete identity crisis because my husband from Brazil got transferred and took me back to Yellowknife because the diamonds were huge there. And I didn't want to go back there. I mean, when I left, things weren't terrible, but I had this dread coming over me that if I went back there, something terrible was going to happen. And I was dragged back in January, the coldest month of the year, to the far north where it was -40, whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius, it's still -40, kicking and screaming. But I was asking those bigger questions at that time, what is my purpose? Like, why am I here? Like, what's going on? I'm just following this man all over the place. Like, there must be something more than me just being a wife and a mother. And so my life had been built on layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of conditioning. And it simply wasn't working anymore. Everything was falling down. In Brazil, I started figuring out what my values were. I'd been away from my family for a solid 5 years, and we'd gone back in the summer for a visit, and I didn't even know who they were, the way they behaved. I'm talking about my parents and my sister. It was just, I didn't feel like I fit in there anymore because I had shifted so much in a different direction from where I had been as that unit. So I started to heal my deeper wounds. I began to notice inconsistencies between what I believed and how I was living. The old conditioning was still running in the background because I'd say one thing, but I'd do something different. And I'd catch myself going, whoa, just a second. Why am I doing that if that's what I believe? So nothing was quite consistent across the field yet. And once you start seeing those things, you can't unsee them. And like I said, that space and distance between my family, ended up being a little helpful in this case. I let go of shame and guilt and fear and anxiety. Um, I offered up forgiveness and learned to trust. I released judgment and my ego. I started accepting others and myself for who we were. We were in Yellowknife and I started doing all this rebirthing work. I started doing breath work and I'd go to these workshops and all of this stuff started coming up for me. I was just changing into such a different person. I started relinquishing control. And I'll tell you that one's not easy. I still have some problems with that one. I was in control for a lot of time, moving my family around from one place to the other. I had to do everything. We all have our thing we're working on. Discovered humility in helping others, removed the limits of old conditioning and opened my heart to unconditional love. And then something incredible happened. I literally fell in love with myself. I fell in love with myself. Now, all of that healing took about 4 years, and I had so much help. I had a community up there, but the magic started happening because as that stuff was leaving me, I could feel more and more light coming in, and there was so much more joy in my heart and in my person, and I felt more love, not only for myself, but for everyone. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful time in my life where I was working and freeing myself up from all this other stuff that was happening. It's a huge magical transformation. I was awakening. Now, we call it awakening, we call it leveling up, we call it rebirthing, maybe getting your wings, coming home to yourself, remembering who you are. But this is all, again, about ascension, which is what we're talking about today. We're ascending upwards, raising our frequency. Now, this healing didn't happen just in the physical realm. It happened at a cellular level, like it was deep. It happened at a soul level where I was like, wow, I can't believe what just happened. Wow. And you can taste it and you can feel it, but you can't explain it. Now, maybe this whole experience should have destroyed me, but it birthed me. Like I completely felt like I was being reborn. I had so many memories come up at that time that I had forgotten. I didn't really remember anything before the age of 12 for a very, very long time. And I was starting to have some of these bits and pieces coming to the surface. And falling in love with myself unconditionally was a really huge part of that. It changed everything for me. So I'd like you to take you to that next level, level 4. Who's ready for that? Yeah. All right, perfect. Okay, so me, yeah, me. I'd like you to close your eyes. I'm gonna have a sip of water. Big breath in, big breath out. Now, this reality feels really good. There's a lot of love and light. There's financial prosperity. People living in this reality have a fairly strong prosperity consciousness, so they can more easily trust in abundance and see a clear vision of how to have a future with prosperity, with fun and ease. So there's not a lot of concern or much worry about money here. In this reality, there is not a lot of struggle. People feel good about their health and are confident about how to take care of themselves or who to turn to when help is needed with their healing in other areas of their lives. Relationships are healthy, honest, and respectful. There may still be some misunderstandings, but people in this reality are open to seeking tools to help create more loving relationships. If you live in this reality, you have a good balance of play, fun, and work. There are still some challenges from time to time and still some feelings of struggle, but for the most part, life feels quite good. Every once in a while, you get thrown a curveball by some situation you didn't expect that may bring up some stress, but you are very satisfied and happy with your life. You feel more peace, more hopeful, have more energy and a bigger sense of purpose in this reality than the other ones we explored. So I'd like you to take a few moments and connect with this energy of having a very happy, satisfying life with mostly ups and very few downs. How does this feel to you? Can you relate to this energy? Have you ever spent time here? How does your future feel if you were to choose to live here? Now, I want to mention for some of you, life is easy, and many of us find that difficult. What would you do with all that spare time? What would you fill it with if you didn't have any of the drama in your life? I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about a very happy, satisfying life with mostly ups and very few downs. Now you have a choice to make. Would you like to live here? Yes or no? Open your eyes. Put in a chat if you want to live here. Would you like to live here? Maybe you live here now. Let me know. Let me know where you're at. Now, people who move up here from level 3 tend to bounce back and forth a little bit. But then all of a sudden you just lift that one foot and you're like, sorry, I'm over here now. And off you go to level 4. Yes, I love this. I love this. Perfect. Yay. So this is a really lovely place to be. And if you're here, I want to congratulate you because you've done your work. You've cleared out some limiting beliefs. You've healed some inner child wounds. You've developed a spiritual practice. You strengthen your connection to your intuition. You probably have a lovely supportive community. You know, your health is good and you can make choices about what you want to do in your life. Like I sat in this level of more abundance and I was like so excited about it. I was so excited about it. So I feel meditation creates stability and our intuition helps guide us through changes. Our inner stability during outer change. So we have to let go of the old stories. When you reach this level, life can still bring challenges, but the difference is the story that you used to hang on to doesn't control you anymore. It's not there. It's also about recalibrating your relationships at this level. As your relationships with yourself changes, so do the relationships with others. Some for the better, some for the worse. It was at this level that my husband came home one day and told me he wanted a divorce, that he didn't love me anymore and he wanted out. My first question was, like, why? I don't understand, because I was actually in a very good place. But what I realized is he wasn't happy with himself. He didn't love himself. And it really didn't have a whole lot to do with me. But of course, that's the first thing we think it has to do with the other person. So, me being me, I went and sat in a meditation and spoke with Spirit. And Spirit told me that we would separate, but we would not get divorced. And this actually was enough to give me support to let me get on with my day. I'm not saying I wasn't affected by it. I will tell you, I probably spent a lot of time over the next 18 months that we were separated before he found his way back. In the closet crying. I had healing to do. He'd been the center of my life for years and years. So, I mean, like I had to let go of that. And he didn't just, leave me. He moved to Australia. So he went across the world. So the girls and I moved closer to family down to the Calgary area. That's how I ended up there for 14 years before I moved to Nanaimo. But the big thing for him was he'd come from a parent who was very much controlling. And then I wouldn't say I was very much controlling, but he was with me who also took care of him. And he was now turning 40 and he wanted to get his power back. And so part of that journey for him was about becoming his own man again. And the journey for me was letting go and becoming the healer I am today. Because if he had not left, I would still be doing some form of accounting. I would not have said, oh, well, fine, you do you, and I'm going to do me. And that's what that time and space did for me. So, for as painful and as difficult as some of these transitions are, they're always for our highest good. Always for our highest good. So, you stop taking things personally. I said to my husband, okay, yeah, no, you go do what you need to do. I'm here if you need to talk, if you need me to support you, whatever it is, I'm here for you. That was hard too, but I felt it was the right thing to do. I wasn't mad at him. You respond differently instead of just reacting to the pain that's happening at these levels. And you have tools to support you through all these changes that are taking place. Now, our bodies remember what our mind forgets. The body holds memories of trauma. These old experiences stay stored in our nervous system. As we get older and our nervous system gets more ramped up, it's not because life gets busier, it's because we have not been taking care of all these things that are stuck in our nervous system from when we were a child. So for me, as I was, processing, not the split up, but just processing in those 4 years that I was doing all the heavy breath work and rebirthing and the shamanic journeying, which I don't know if I mentioned to you, I did a shamanic journey and I actually got back 11 parts of my soul from that boyfriend that I lived with in Winnipeg. So that's why I do the shamanic work too, because we bring back pieces of ourselves we've lost over the years. But as that was happening, other things were coming up in my body. I was remembering injuries and like being physically assaulted by a rake. I got smashed across the back and had a serious whiplash. No problems with my hip. And then remembering this always been scared of snakes, but then remembering riding my bike, no hands, and then a snake came out in front of me, and then I wiped out, and I remember limping home. Again, there's my hip. And in the 70s, the swings had these great big metal seats on them. And it's another story why I did this, but the swing came at me, hit me in the head and then in the clavicle, and my ear was swollen and I was concussed, and I completely forgot about that. I actually called my mom and said, hey, like, did I get knocked cold from a swing like when I was a kid? Yeah, you did. I was like, oh, geez. So all the ailments that happened on this side of my body, I had thought had come from a car accident, and they hadn't. They had started years and years and years before. So all these old experiences, and traumas, they stay stored in our nervous system. And healing brings all of this to the surface, because not all memories are conscious. Some of them are hidden under the surface. And so the truth replaces the old stories. The old narratives lose their power. We become someone completely new. You stop believing the old stories that you once lived by, and you live by the new stories. And healing makes room for this truth. You begin to live from what is real. So at this level, you really find a way back to yourself. And you find the people who are willing to support you in whatever you're doing. But my husband came back after those 18 months. We came back as two separate people. And it's like, yeah, no, you do whatever you need to do, and you do whatever you need to do. There was so much support around me moving into this healing field. And it was, a bit unusual for him because he married someone in accounting. So, it's just being there for whoever is in your life, whether it's a girlfriend, a partner, a parent, and they're there for you as well. You find your community, you find your sisters. So at this level, the people I work with, they're craving this upgrade. They want this magical life. And there's still challenges, but the challenges are usually like, what should I do next? I'm not sure what to do next. So what I'd like to do is take you up to this 5th level. I want to wake you up to your magical existence. Are you guys ready? Yep. Awesome. All right. Let's go. So close your eyes. Big breath in, big breath out. This is where you get to appreciate your body, your life, and yourself for the miracle you really are. You are grateful for your health, how your body looks, and all your body allows you to do. You retain a strong sense of balance and peace, and remember to follow your internal wisdom even during periods of personal, family, or planetary challenges. You are able to have a sense of humor and not take things too seriously. Your relationships are strong and healthy and so fulfilling. You are surrounded by people who love and support you and want only the best for you. Your family and friends are able to see you for who you are and know and really appreciate your gifts and presence. You feel totally blessed and grateful. You live in total abundance. You know beyond measure that you are always financially taken care of and that your future will be filled with prosperity. You have fun every day. You laugh every day. Life is your playground. You are filled up with love and your days are magical. You feel that you are in the best place at the perfect time, doing the right thing, and you never take yourself or others too seriously. You have a great sense of humor and plenty of lightness and compassion for yourself and others. People in your life and work appreciate you, and you get to experience beautiful moments of love and appreciation throughout your days with others and from simply being in the world. So connect now with this energy. What would it be like to have your days be a series of unfolding miracles and your life is what you've always dreamed it could be? Begin to relate to this energy. Pull it into your being. See your life flowing in this way and being this magical. How would your career look? What do your relationships look like? What are you doing throughout your day? Would you like to live from this place of love and light and abundance and ease? Shake your head, yes or no. Yes, yes, yes. Open your eyes when you're ready, but I want you to hang on to this energy. I want you to feel this 5D existence. Trap it in your cells so you remember it. So we're still healing at this level. It's not that we're not. There's just a few different type of challenges. We're not doing quite so much healing as we're having challenges. But the big part for me is I have the tools in the community. It's different for all of us, but I have a strong yoga practice. I love to meditate. I go to sound healings. I do a lot of alternative healing. I don't go a month without something going on. I have people I can reach out to if I need some type of counseling. And I have not one community, I have multiple communities. I have a strong connection with my husband and my children and my mother and my sister, that especially my mother and sister, that I never had years before. I have all of this wonderful, exciting stuff happening in my life now. And that supports me through all sorts of stuff. So, a year and a half ago, when my father passed away, I had all of this to lean into when I was running this program for the first time to this level and was dealing with his will and all of his assets. I had this community that kept me going. It didn't make me stumble. It didn't drag me down. It didn't put me in a place that I'd been before. I was able to stay where I am now. So I want you to breathe in the good shit and breathe out the bullshit, because we don't need it. That's behind us. We don't need it. So I am living a pretty amazing life. I am, 90% of the time super happy. I travel a lot. I hike 3 days a week in the forest. Um, yeah, I have strong relationships. I have friends all over the world. I have my work and I love building programs like this. There's a picture of my daughter getting married in Hawaii. We actually have been going to Hawaii since 2010 every single year. You'll see me, our feet on a glacier in Alaska. The cave is in Portugal, along with the angel is from Rock of Gibraltar. Yeah, speaking and just enjoying my life. You see me healing. It just so great. Like I just love everything I get to do. And it's not that there isn't challenges. There is. I just got back from 3 weeks in Sweden last week, and I'm doing this today. Do you think my ego kept saying, you're crazy? Like, what are you doing? You can't pull this together. You know what? I did. I pulled it together. And I'm thrilled that I'm here, and I'm thrilled all of you are here, and it just fills my heart so, so very, 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 very much. So, my question to you, after that, does your mind feel lighter? You put in the chat if you want. Does your nervous system feel calmer? Do you feel more connected to your intuition? All good shit. Yep. Oh, yes, lighter. Yeah, yeah. And it takes a bit for the nervous system to actually adjust to that level because it seems so unrealistic. The first time I did that guided visualization, I was like, this can't be real. There's no way this is real. People don't live at this level, but they do. I do. So would you like healthier, more aligned relationships, more abundance and flow, emotional freedom, know your purpose and have boundaries and have that deeper self-trust and inner peace? Did you feel the magic? Did you recognize how life can be so much easier at these higher frequencies? Did you recognize that your goals are just like, oh, I'm going to do that? And people are like, you can't do that. It's like, no, I think I can. I wouldn't do that. It's like, you know what? I don't think you're my person. I'm going to go over here. These people are my people because I feel like they're going to support me better with these goals. It's just the thing. And it's okay. You can move on. You can do whatever you want. This is your life, truthfully. So, did you experience a frequency upgrade with that? How do you feel? Lighter, at peace, love it. Yes, it's great, isn't it? I'm so excited. Yeah. So imagine waking up with less trauma in your body. Less trauma means less pain. Speaking your truth without fear. Not holding your tongue anymore, not closing down your throat chakra. How about loving yourself when you look in the mirror? Yes, love it. So, healing, transformation, and enlightenment. I want this for you. I want you to be able to break free. I want you to move up through those levels to the highest frequency. Get rid of all that garbage that's sitting in those lower frequencies. I want it to move out of your body. And so I have an 8-week program. It's called Wake Up to Your Magical Existence. It's a mastermind program, and it's going to start May 6th. So I like to share some of the information around that for you because this is not a course. It's about a goal activation. Meets spiritual upgrade, meets metaphysical enlightenment, meets waking up to a new future self. And who is this for? Well, this program is for women who are ready to release their limited beliefs, want to heal any trauma and release any drama, who want to strengthen their boundaries, and so much more. They're ready to step into more abundance, stronger connection with their intuition, and find a deeper purpose and passion. So here's what we'll do together. You'll release what you no longer need. You'll reclaim your soul's truth. Go let that land. You're going to live the life you want. We're going to be together for 8 weeks. They're live sessions over Zoom, and they're all recorded, so there's replays. I'll be guiding you through healings, meditations, visualization. We'll be doing energy work. You're going to be a part of a sacred community of amazing women. There's going to be so much support. You will make friends with these people after you're done the program. I guarantee it. You're going to make those connections for life. So you're going to have someone that understands where you're at, what you're doing, and where you want to go, and helps you through that transformation. So you might be asking, wherever you are on your journey, I want you to know that healing isn't made for one individual. It's made for everyone. So in the 26 plus years that I've been doing this, I have worked with newborn babies up to people who are 80 years old. So if you're in your late 20s, your early 30s, I know what you're asking. Why are you here? What is your purpose? I ask those same questions. If you're in your 30s and your early 40s, I know you're working on yourself. You're doing some healing. You're releasing stuff. You're trying to change and get rid of the things that have been holding you back because you want to move forward. If you're in your 40s and your early 50s, I know you desire more love and joy and fulfillment in your everyday life. This is what happens when we're at these ages. And if you're in your 50s and your 60s or older, I know you're reflecting on what life has been about, and you want more meaningful part of your life coming up in the next little while. You're looking for that. So it doesn't matter where you are on your journey, you will get exactly what you need through this program, because we all experience it exactly the way we're meant to. Everyone today that was in level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we all experienced it differently. We all had our own journey as we went through all of that. So Jackie said, Tracy's program provided the necessary but rare combination of spiritual guidance, healing meditations, visualizations, and supportive coaching tools for envisioning my healthy future. At a time of transition and confusion, this mental, emotional, and spiritual healing helped me focus on what was important to me, looking after my physical body, honoring my creativity, and setting boundaries. I'm so grateful for Tracy's remarkable healing gifts and her holistic coaching program. This one's from Danny. This program came into my life during a time of major change and uncertainty. Through Tracy's guidance, I uncovered hidden patterns, beliefs, and attachments that were keeping me stuck in the same loop. I was able to release those blocks and begin consciously creating the life I truly wanted. Less than a year later, I can already see how much my life has transformed into what I envisioned during those sessions. I feel incredibly grateful for this experience and the role it continues to play in my life. Now, I have a lot more testimonials. I'm not going to share them all with you. You can go on Google or on my website at tracymakarenko.com to look over them. But what I do want to do is share with you that this is an 8-week program. Wake up to your magical existence. It's going to start the week before with just a little bit of work I'm going to send. It's nothing big. And then we're going to go through all these different weeks learning something new. So for week 1, you're gonna prepare yourself before we get started. You're gonna get information about logging into the program. There'll be a welcome video from me. I'll do a grounding meditation that'll help just like settle your nervous system and help you with meditation, whether you have a practice or you don't have a practice. I'll send the weekly roadmap and some information so that you can start setting intentions around what you want to get out of this program. Participants feel present, supported and ready to begin their transformation. Then we go on to our first session where you're going to really start understanding your thoughts and your beliefs. You're going to explore what true healing looks like physically, emotionally, and mentally. I'm going to share the alignment wheel with you. It's going to bring more awareness to where you are now and where you want to go, and identify areas of imbalance and resistance and untapped potential. So it's going to open a doorway to, conscious creation for you. You're going to get more clarity, awareness, and a deeper connection to your current reality so you can grow, expand, and align with confidence. Session 2, we're going to work on boundaries, understanding energetic cords, what they are and how they form. Identify where your energy is being drained or overextended, super important. Recognize patterns of overgiving, people-pleasing, and attachments. There'll be a guided visualization for you to release these outdated energetic ties. You're going to reclaim your energy and call back soul essences. And you're going to anchor new aligned boundaries that are going to honor your truth as you move forward in your life. You're going to gain a deeper sense of personal power, energetic clarity, and the ability to stay rooted in your own space without overgiving or losing yourself to others. Our third session, we're going to magnetize abundance. So we're going to talk about the law of attraction, but we're going to move on to the law of abundance and then move on to the law of letting go. Going to recognize how resistance and control blocks your flow to abundance. Shift from striving and effort into alignment and allowing. Love that. Expanding your capacity to receive emotionally, energetically, and physically. And a guided visualization to embody your abundance and deepen your trust in the unseen. So you're going to leave with a sense of alignment with abundance, increased trust in your ability to receive, and a deeper understanding of how to create what flows rather than force. In our fourth session, we're going to explore the hidden aspects of self, bringing awareness, compassion, and integration to what has been suppressed. So we're going to work with the shadow self, and you'll get to understand more about what the shadow self is, identifying unconscious beliefs, triggers, and patterns, recognizing where the shadow self influences your life. There'll be a guided visualization so you can meet and integrate these aspects of yourself. We're also going to talk about the body and our health and how the shadow self shows up there. The result is greater self-awareness, compassion, and a deeper alignment within your body, mind, and emotions. So the fifth session, we're going to move to the heart. We're going to clear the emotional residue and reconnect with your truth, expanding a deeper love connection and spiritual alignment. We're going to open the heart to give and receive more love freely. Reconnect with your true desires and your inner truth. Explore personal and spiritual growth that you are ready to expand into, and strengthen your connection with self, soul, and the higher guides. Your results are a more open, connected heart, of course, with more love and clarity and alignment. Our sixth session, we're going to reconnect with our feminine frequency. And we're going to expand that up to the goddess energy by awakening your inner goddess and embracing your natural rhythms. So you're going to understand the feminine energy and how it differs from constantly doing and thriving. Reconnect with your body and your intuition and inner knowing. Explore what play, joy, and creativity looks like for you. Release guilt or conditioning around rest, receiving, and pleasure. We all have problems with that, no matter how much we evolve. And activate your unique expression of the goddess within. A deeper connection to your feminine essence, You're going to feel more expressed, creative, and in flow rather than forcing. And our 7th session, you're going to connect with your guides and angels at the higher frequencies. You're going to understand those higher frequency realms and how to access them. Strengthen your connection to guides, angels, and intuitive guidance. Learn how to recognize and trust the messages and signs. You might be getting some of those already. And there'll be a guided visualization to connect you with your spirit support team. We'll talk all about that. We'll also explore the purpose, your purpose and career, aligning you with your work and your soul path. You'll gain a deeper connection to guidance beyond the physical, increasing your trust to your intuition and greater clarity around your purpose and direction. And our last session, we're going to integrate the transformation that has taken place and anchor your growth. So reflecting on the transformation and shifts that you experience throughout the program, revisit the alignment wheel where you can recognize growth and new awareness, clarifying your next steps and intentions as you move forward. Sometimes it's nice to have people to help you with that for sure. And open up a Q&A for support, insight, and integration. Now, every single class, there's going to be time for Q&A and sharing. It's not just this one. Every single class, we will have time for sharing as a community. Closing integration meditation to anchor your new frequency. So you're going to walk away with a deeper sense of clarity and embodiment, feeling aligned, empowered, and ready for your next chapter. So this is the alignment wheel that we'll be working with. It's going to help us. It's just one of many tools we'll be using. It's going to bring awareness to all the areas in your life so that you can find more balance. I want you to be in alignment. And to do that, we need to look at all these different areas. Now, this is really important because today has all been about ascension, about raising our frequency. And I really want you to see this chart the way it is. We talked about the frozen water in the different environments and how it either came out looking beautiful or looked really dark and sad. You experienced moving up from level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you've got to feel that in your body. So visually, I want you to see what some of those lower frequencies are connected to. So the lower frequencies, as you can see on this chart, you have shame and guilt, apathy, grief, and fear, and they're at the lower level when you live your life in them. I'm not saying we don't have moments of that, but remember those lower levels, 1 and 2, where that was your life. You were living your life there. Some of the trauma that we have gets stuck in there at those frequencies, which is why those lower frequencies, when we get higher, it kind of, you feel like you're doing that high, high, low, low in your life. You go, oh, yay, and then you're like, crash. And so part of it is because those lower frequencies need to be moved out of the body. And as they move out, you can see how it would prop you up higher and higher. 200, courage. You get to say things you want to say and do things you want to do. The willingness to do stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. It's like, no, I don't think so. Like, that's 310. The acceptance. We talk about reason in our minds. It's like, okay, let's figure that out. And then, of course, we have love at 500 and joy and peace and enlightenment. It's all about moving you up through this funnel, up to these higher levels. So what's my experience and background? Why would you work with me? I know some of you already do, so I'm super excited about that. I've been doing this work for 25 plus years, guiding people through healings and personal transformations. I talked to you earlier about all the different modalities I have. I've been trained in over 20 different modalities over the last 26 years or so. I've personally invested over $100,000 in my training. I feel, and I remember the very first breath workshop I went to, it was $250 for the day, and it was right around Christmas, and I was like, I don't know, but there was a voice that dropped into my head and said it'll come back tenfold. Well, I can tell you it's come back way more than tenfold for sure. I authored 2 books, Moving from the Outside In, which talks about my story. And then I was invited to co-author the international bestseller on Amazon called I Am a Brilliant Woman. The money from that actually goes back into the community and helps women who are in homeless shelters. I've developed transformational programs and workshops for over 15 years. But I've been teaching Reiki and helping people transform through that for 25 years. I love this work. I mean, I hope you got that from me today, that you know how much I love this work and sharing it with all of you. I've guided thousands of clients, students, and workshop participants. And my work blends intuitive insight, energy healing, practical tools to help people connect with their inner wisdom and create a meaningful change in their life. This is my jam. This is why I'm here on earth. I just know it. So I feel like this is priceless, but I know you're looking for a price of what all of this is going to cost. So your investment in this journey, it's an 8-week transformational experience. It's designed to elevate your frequency, to heal you at the deeper levels, bring more awareness, and bring you more into alignment. You're going to be with this beautiful, supportive community of like-minded women. It's going to be I feel it already. It just feels so great. I'm also offering an early registration bonus. If you sign up by midnight tonight, you will receive a 1-hour private coaching session with me after the 8 weeks is done. Now, I don't do private coaching sessions on a one-off. You usually have to buy a package from me. So this is pretty exciting. I feel it's exciting anyways. So your investment for this program is $2,750. Registration closes Sunday, May 3rd at midnight. That's Pacific time. So do something today that your future self will thank you for. You know, if you stop and honestly close your eyes and ask yourself, next year at this time, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to look like? Now think about it. So if there's something inside of you that's saying yes today, I ask you to say yes. Some of you might already be ready to say yes. Alicia, I'll ask if you'll put, yeah, there she goes already. She's putting all the links in there. If you want to sign up right now, the information's there. If you want to have a call with me, you can book a call. If you want to go to the landing page and share it or look at it, it's there. I'd love if you have a family member or a friend you think that would really benefit from this. I mean, by all means, share it. So again, you have 8 weeks. You're going to have live weekly sessions. They are recorded. So you can go back. If you miss a class, you can go back and listen to the recording. It starts Wednesday, May 6th, Wednesday, May 6th. So 2 weeks from today. We end on June 24th. And it's going to be from 12 to 1:30 Pacific time or 3 to 4:30 Eastern time. I think there's mountain people here. So you're looking at 1 till 2:30 mountain time. And it's going to be live on Zoom. And yeah, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't. That's what this is all about. You just have to be willing to listen to that quiet pull inside of you. And if you're ready to move forward, I am here for you. I'm like just so excited about just even today. I'm just like excited about doing today. But yes, the 8 weeks is going to be magical, absolutely magical. And I can't wait to see what we create together. So if you have any questions right now you'd like to ask me about this program or today, you can write them in the chat. I'd love to find out what you have to say. Oh, thank you, Molly. Thank you, my beautiful soul sister. Yeah. So there's usually a few questions people have. And let me go here. I'm going to stop this. There, you can look at me again. Okay, so how do I sign up and when is the deadline? So the link to register is in the chat. You'll see it there if you want it. You can sign up anytime between now and May 3rd at midnight. And all the information will also come out tomorrow. You'll get another email with the landing page, so you can go in there if you'd rather review it. But remember, there is a bonus if you sign up before midnight tonight, which I'd be really excited to work with you one-on-one. Or you can set up a call and we can chat about this program. What else? If you miss a session, yes, all the sessions are recorded. So you can go back and you can listen to the recordings at any time. Anytime you want, you can listen to the recordings. You won't fall behind. You'll be fine. And that program will be open, so you'll be able to go back even after the 8 weeks and look at what's sitting in there. So how is this different from other programs? Because I know there's so many out there. It's just really difficult. So I want to tell you, this isn't just about coaching. Like, I'm not coming on here just to coach. I've been a Reiki master since 2004, Usui and Karuna Reiki. So all my Reiki tools will come out. I'll be using those. Again, I'm also a shaman, so we'll be working with some of those shamanic energies. I don't know if you've worked in the shamanic medicine before, but it's super powerful. And all this is going to be weaved together. We're not just talking about change. We're working with your energy, your body, your subconscious, your unconscious. We're going to be really tapping into our intuition and making sure that that it gets moved up to that next level, and that you're not. Some people, maybe you're worried about it, and that's your intuition. That's okay. We'll talk about that, and you'll learn how to trust what is ego and what is not ego, what's for your highest good. I know that was one of my biggest problems when I started doing some of this work. And do I need experience with this kind of work? No, you don't. You don't need experience at all for this kind of work. You step into it wherever you are. We all step into it wherever we are. I'm still going to different programs because I know it's going to support me in some way or some manner. And I get out of it what I need to get out of it. You need to trust your intuition around that. So I am so excited to meet the women who are going to be co-creating with me, co-creating this new life of yours in 2 weeks' time. I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. My heart is so full. And I do ask that hopefully you take away one thing today. I don't know what it'll be, if it'll be the image of the water, or maybe it'll be feeling that level 5, the magic of being in level 5. or maybe there was part of my story that resonated with you. But I hope you take something away today that helps you in your life, on your journey. I send all of you so, so very much love, and I'll see some of you really soon. And for the rest of you, I'll see you on social media. You can find me at Awakening Wholeness. If you haven't um, seen me on Facebook or Instagram, that is my handle, Awakening Wholeness. And I hope you all have the most beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you, everyone. Bye.